you see the miracle of him winning?
I mean, it's hard work. It's hard work. It's not given. Even if God gives you a prophecy and tells you that tomorrow you would be the vice chancellor of the University of Ghana, you have to live in Ghana, be in Ghana. You have to have the vehicle to get to the University of Ghana. You have to apply. You have to make a move. You can't just be in China. You can't be in China and wake up in the morning and lay on at the VC. So you have to put in the hard work, and that's what we are doing. We as a team, we never go to sleep thinking we have won, and it's reflected in our activities since November 4th when he was elected. You realize that since he was elected, especially after he spoke at the UPAC on February 7th, he's not rested even a single day. A single day. And that tells you how much energy and effort we are putting in. We know we have the grace of God in these elections, but we are putting in the work. We are going to make sure we work more than every other political opponent we're going into the contest with, so that God will have no other reason, no other choice.
We're not giving God any option.
No, we are not giving any option.
The man has worked so hard.
The guy has worked. That's so much work. Now it's left to you to decide amongst all your children. One of them should go. Give it to the one that has worked.
They all say the same thing. They all say they are all putting in the work. So we're giving God a very tough choice.
Ultimately, 7th December. I mean, in the eyes of man, we are analyzing it differently. But God sees everything. You can tell somebody that, where are you? So I'm at Macho, I'm working. Why is asleep? Only God knows whether you're at Macho. So ultimately, God will filter and know truly who is putting the work and who has the vision and the plan that is superior. I mean, every other body's plan is fine, but we definitely always have a superior plan than our opponents in every sector, and so ultimately that's also going to come to play.
I'm sure we'll get there. But you as a person, Denis, spokesman for him, now a very, very active member of his campaign team. What is the most difficult part of you selling him? And I'll get to why I'm asking that question later.
Human needs are insatiable, and that makes it extremely difficult when you are an incumbent and you have to go to the voter to tell him to vote for you again, especially when you know that no matter how it is, the person still has needs that have not been fulfilled. It's a tough call. It's difficult. What it means is that you have to break through that barrier and getting the person to understand that in spite of these difficulties you have, we have a scorecard to show that this is what we've been able to do, and based on this, have the confidence that we'll be able to also deal with these disasters. And that's difficult. It's not when you're in a position, it's easy. KSM is testy. Just tell KSM that one I can't give you water. The other one doesn't give you water anyway. So it's easy for KSM to make that choice. But that is why you need to craft your message for the voter, to see through your message, to see hope, have belief and confidence that you are the one with the capacity to deal with the specific situation he's in now. I mean, there are some people that about 4 or 5 years ago had different needs and challenges. Today, those have been resolved, and they have new ones. And they are not going to say because you want power. They should just let you have power because they are still looking for one that would come and solve the specific challenge you are in today. When that is solved, 4 years later they will have new needs, and that makes it difficult for you when you are an incumbent. You have to break multiple barriers before the message gets to the voter for him to make a decision on you.
Yeah, and he's not just an incumbent. This is an incumbent belonging to a party that wants to do something historic.
Absolutely.
Breaking the eight.
Something that has never been done before.
That has never been done. Yeah. Somehow this election is going to be very, very extraordinary. If the MPP wins, they have broken the third. It's never been done. If the NDC wins, Mahama was president, lost 2 terms running, and has come back. Yeah. If Alan wins, he was in MPP, he got out, and then he started his own party. So no matter how you look at it,
Cheddar wins.
Thank you. Hey, I was forgetting more. Cheddar Mr. Thank you for reminding me. If Cheddar wins, Cheddar Boshum, they're all in the network too. Yeah. All of them will be sort of like phenomenal. Yeah. Okay. For you and working for Dr. Bawumia, do you have any extra difficulty? Because, and I said this one time on one of the shows that I'm doing, that unfortunately for him, most of the things that have been used against him are some of his own words he has said in the past. How are you dealing with that?
I mean, all the candidates are going to suffer the same fate. No politician is left off the hook when it comes to what you say, what you do, what your plans are, all of them. So we all have to account for it, and it's not different. What Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia finds himself in, the situation is not different from the former president. I mean, he was president, he was vice president. Almost everything he's telling the people of Ghana to vote for him, so he will come and do. He told them in 2012, and so he also has a huge responsibility to be able to tell the people why. He's telling them all the things he told them in 2012. They made him president, and he still couldn't deliver on them. So those are tasks that we have to take on and deal with. Those are responsibilities that you have to carry and do, and that's exactly what the vice president is doing. And he's going to do it very well. He's going to do it tactically. We're not going to put everything out there because our opponents are watching. But be rest assured that in his communication, in his engagement with the people, he's mindful of the fact that you've come to the people to tell them to vote for you before. You know, and that's why if you look at even our manifesto we launched recently, it's structured in three stages or three phases. The first part looks at what we came to meet as a government. What was the situation for you as a voter? Whether you are a teacher, you are a doctor, you are a student, you are a market woman, we give that picture. Then we go on to tell you what it is that we have done within the last 8 years to sort of try to deal with what we encountered or met when we came to office. Then, based on what we've achieved, the call to action, vote for me so I can, that's what we speak of the upgrade, I can elevate what it is that we have done to this level. And in each of his conversation, one thing features clearly. He says that, I admit, it's not everything we anticipated to do that we've been able to do. But if you look at what we have been able to do, vis-a-vis what our opponents also did, and that's what makes this election unique. Our opponents, the key opponents being the former president, doesn't have the luxury of simply walking around and telling the people that vote for me, I'll do this, I'll do that. No, because you have been president before. In fact, of all the opponents, of all the contestants or candidates, it's only the former president that has been president before. He has the biggest task to tell the people why they should make him president again. Because whatever leadership style or skill you want to show, or you are promising us to show, we've given you that opportunity before, and we've seen it before. In fact, between him and the vice president, I think he has the biggest responsibility. Because the vice president, at least, has not been president before. He's not had that responsibility of calling the shots before, unlike the opponent. But he's admitting the fact that he's part of an incumbent government. We had a manifesto in 2016 and 2020 outlining specific things we want to do. Surely, we haven't been able to do everything we highlighted in the manifesto. The last time we checked, we've done a little over 80% of what we promised the people between 2016 and now. So there is some 20% left. But that 20% KSM is equally important. And for most of the people, the 20% has also even built on, because there are additional needs that have come that the people are looking forward to. And so he addresses them. He speaks to the issues. He tells them clearly what it is that he believes we could have done that is still outstanding. And then outlines the plan and the strategy going into the future.
How is the campaign and him personally addressing this issue as no matter how much he wants to detach, I'm your mate, I'm your driver. But people are saying, no. You know, you can't just get away with that. How much do you think the effort to detach is working? Because people don't seem to get that excuse. Say,
I was just about to open his speech for you. As a matter of fact, and I probably would like to set that record on your show, the vice president has never, ever, on any occasion, sought to detach himself from the government. He's never done that. And the point he made about being a driver's mate, which I was trying to open to read to you because I wanted to pick it verbatim, never sought to, it was never nowhere close to him trying to say that I am not part of the government. Isn't the mate part of the journey? Isn't a mate part of the journey?
So,
exactly.
But when they say that, but they say the first absolutely, it means he was not in control.
No, of course, but he's the mate in control. So that analogy is not wrong. But that analogy never implies that I am not part of the journey. When the driver wakes up in the morning, he doesn't move his car without his mate, does he? Wherever the mate is, it's either he will wait for the mate or he will go to pick the mate up. The mate has a specific responsibility on the journey. When, for example, you set up to move from Medina to Accra Central, the mate's job at the lorry park is to make sure that he is in the queue. You know the way they do it at the GPRTU station. The bookman has called, so. Then the mate will be cleaning the car whilst the driver is chatting with his colleagues. When it's your turn, usually the mate will move the car from where it's parked to come and stand. They call it skill and park on the skill. Then the mate will be calling, Madina Lego, 37, Madina Lego, Accra, and the mate will load. It is not the mate who decides that we are going to Accra Tema Station today. It is the driver.
But the mate knows. But the mate knows where they are going.
Absolutely. And that's not in doubt. But once the driver decides that we are going to Tema Station, Accra, the mate's job is to ensure that the car is loaded. And then whilst they are on the journey, yes, Legon, Okponglo woman, Standards Authority woman, Golf House, that's the mate's job. And the driver also has a specific responsibility. But the one who is handling the steer and determining whether, when we get to Atomic Junction, we should use the Presec road, or we should go through TF Hostel and drive through Legon and go through Gempa, is the driver, not the mate. The one who decides that when we get to Atomic Junction, there are 4 potholes. Should we swerve this way or hit the pothole? Is the driver, not the mate. That does not in any way implies that the mate isn't part of the journey. Indeed, if the passengers have an issue, they start attacking the mate even before it gets to the driver. You know that scenario. Then the driver will start shouting, Master, quite we have been parking and all of that. So we need to understand the scenario. Ultimately, when the mate gets his driver's license and becomes a driver, he can choose that tomorrow morning I'm no longer going to Tema Station. I am now going to go to Circle. That is his decision at that point. And he doesn't have to do that with recourse to any driver because he is in charge. And he also have a mate to drive that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why I said that he has never detached himself from the government. It's because he's confronting the issues and addressing the issues. He's never said that, oh, don't ask me this because I'm not the driver. He's never said that anywhere.
But he says there are certain things that the government has done that he will change when it gets power.
Absolutely.
Hasn't he said that?
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with it. And I'll give you a quick reason why. In this production room, I doubt if your entire team would have loved the Miracles to be on the show today. But for the cameraman and for the sound engineer, that's not their call. It is your call. So when you come, they can only say, oh, but why are you bringing Miracles? Why are you not bringing this other person? Then you say, no, it's okay. He's the guy coming. Whether he agrees with you or not, this morning, his job is to come and sit here and guide the conversation and play his role. The vice president, the president, and the entire cabinet, including us presidential staffers, we may not always agree on issues. When you have a company, you don't have every staff and employee in your company agreeing on decisions. But there is a reason why we run a democracy. And the democracy is not only with the state governance. Even our domestic home, we run a democracy. And it's simply because let's hear everybody. But ultimately, let's take a decision. When the decision is taken, yours is not to go and sit somewhere and say, I disagree with the decision, so I'm not going to help to implement it. Yours is to give your maximum best in ensuring that that decision that has been taken collectively is implemented to the benefit of all. So he disagrees with e-levy. He's disagreed with it from day one. He disagreed with it when it was being decided on. But he's not the only person in government. And he's not the ultimate decision maker in government. The ultimate responsibility and decision making in government is with the president. Because we run an executive presidency. Every other person in government is an advisor to the president. He decides whether he wants to listen or not. When the president is presenting, when the finance minister is presenting a budget in parliament, it is a budget being read on behalf of the president. And that's why the finance minister will always say that he's reading this budget on behalf of the president. So the president decides that I'm reading a budget for 2022. And in that budget, I've decided that I'm going to introduce a levy. Vice president says, Mr. President, I don't think it's the best idea. I think we should do it this way. It's discussed. Everybody say, oh no, we think this is the way to go. The vice president can say, I have resigned because you didn't listen to me. That is not how a society is run. Your idea may be wrong anyway, or it may also be right. But there's something called ultimate responsibility and collective responsibility. And that's why the vice president takes collective responsibility of the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the ultimate responsibility in this country's governance is with the president.
And I understand that perfectly well. But if you have a government of which you are a vice, and you say, my government have done this, but when I come, my government will do the opposite, how do you...
When you are running a state or running an institution, the indicators at every point in time are different. Your decisions are based on the elements you have at every point in your management of governance or home or organization or the country. So 8 years ago, when we came to office, we had a country where barely some 20% are contributing to the country's revenue stream. What it meant is that the few 20%, they need to at all costs generate the money we need to run the country, whether you like it or not. So if you are paying 1,000 cedis today and we need 2,000 cedis next year to be able to take care of the country, you will add 1,000 to you, because you are the one we know. We didn't have a proper national education system. We didn't have a proper database system. We had a country that was running about 70% informal. Nobody can identify who. Everybody is doing their own thing. We cannot track or trace anything. We cannot get people to simply contribute even when they want to contribute. So if you are going to do revenue mobilization, your revenue mobilization will be based on that context. Where can I get the money? But today, we have a country where we are fully digitized to the point where a lot of our touch points are synchronized. Your Ghana ID card is now your mobile money, your mobile registration identity. It is helping us to identify your mobile money. It is your business registration ID. It is your tax identification number. It is your pensions number. It is the ID you use on your bank account and all of that. And because of that, we have moved astronomically from just about 3 million people that we could identify straight away to about 17 to 18 million we can identify. So today, if the same government wants to mobilize revenue, you are going to mobilize revenue from say 9 or 10 million people as against raising revenue from about 3 million people. I'm just using a scenario in the past. You can now begin to drop certain revenue heads that you introduced in the past, because you can reduce what everybody is going to pay and still get the same amount of money.
That's fascinating.
And that is why.
That's fascinating.
No, but let me conclude on this. And that is why the vice president can say that, well, my government introduced e-levy, but I want to drop it now, and I can afford to drop it because I am bringing reforms in the revenue mobilization stream, which is going to improve the number of people who are going to be contributing. For which reason, I don't need this money I'm getting from e-levy. I can still get it from these other places, which will ease the burden on the people.
How true is it that the e-levy was part of the negotiation with IMF? That in terms of the money we are taking from the IMF, it's going to be a part of proving that we can pay back. How true is it? True or false?
It's true.
It's true.
Yes. And let me
so how then do you come and say the same e-levy that I've promised the IMF I'm going to use, we will use it, but we have other revenue sources?
So you promise the IMF revenue increase. It doesn't matter where you are getting it from. Today, at the time,
it was based on that you came up with the e-levy.
Hold on.
Right?
No. E-levy came long before we went to IMF. Hold on. You are promising the IMF revenue stream, one of which is the e-levy. If you can promise the IMF that, because what you've told the IMF, for example, is that e-levy is going to give me, let's say, 1 billion. If I can get a 1 billion from another source, I can drop e-levy. That's the fundamental thing. So anybody that tells you that, oh, the IMF e-levy is part of the IMF thing, and so the person is completely ignorant. IMF doesn't care which revenue, the sources of revenue you are using.
No, I understand that.
What they care about,
miracles. I understand that.
I
understand that.
No, hold on. What they care
about. Hold on one second. I want you to tell me that in the negotiation with IMF, e-levy wasn't mentioned.
No, but how?
All that was mentioned.
Every revenue stream you have in the state will be part of IMF negotiation, not just e-levy. Because you see, the IMF is bringing you support. Now, they want to make sure that at the time they are bringing you the support, and even when they leave, you are not just taking everything for granted. So we are coming to give you support, but you need to be able to show us.
So what are we showing that we have a new Ghana card so we can make that money?
Easy.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, easy. And
Howly?
Yeah, let me show you.
And why has our debt skyrocketed?
Let's take it one at a time, so that because you see, the point you raised about e-levy is one of the misinformation out there that we need to deal with. E-levy is just one source of revenue. The IMF doesn't care.
Which other sources?
Hold on. The IMF doesn't care whether you're getting.
Miracle. You're educating us.
Yeah,
including me.
So let me finish. So your VATs, your payees, your corporate taxes, they are all part of the revenue streams. All of it. If you can prove to the IMF that I can raise more from corporate taxes, because I have been able to bring a lot more corporate entities into the tax bracket, for which reason I can get the same 1 billion I'm getting with e-levy. They don't care. Whether it is e-levy or d-levy or v-levy, nobody cares. They only care about the fact that the country is mobilizing enough to be able to take care of themselves. That is all. That is all. So that is the first falsehood. The first falsehood that has been peddling for a very long time that needs to be corrected. And now let me tell you how you can all of a sudden raise a lot more than you could in the past. So the vice president in his manifesto has clearly said that we need to revolutionize how we mobilize our resources, revenue in this country. So he traveled to Estonia with GRE officials, for us to go and study how the Estonian revenue mobilization system is. So Estonia almost have 100% tax compliance. Everybody is compliant. And the reason is because they have convenient way of assessment, convenient way of collecting, convenient way of payment, and it's not burdensome. And the key to the Estonian success is digitalizing it. What digitalization does, KSM, is that it reduces leakages, it increases transparency, it improves accountability. Once these three things are there, it enhances confidence by the taxpayer. So today, you have a lot of people who are running away from paying taxes. So let's say we have 1 million people who should pay taxes to take care of us. Only 500,000 are paying. The other 500,000 they are running away because of these three things. And then those who are even paying, a lot of them are leaking because too much manual intervention. Somebody is engaging KSM and saying that your production, you are supposed to pay 30,000, but you give me 5,000. And then the rest I'll write it off. Those are all leakages. So when the year ends, government that should have been able to mobilize, let's say, 16 billion, is mobilizing 5 billion. Not because the country, the citizens are unable to mobilize 16 billion, but two things. About 50% or more are not paying, and then the other 50% who are paying, about 50% of that are also going into the pocket of tax officers. And so digitalization deals with this and deals with it frontally, which will open what we call the tax nets, bring more people who are now confident to pay because they know that they are not going to be cheated. They know that the assessment is fair. Today you go to the port, you go and clear your goods. Whilst you are leaving the port, you get a call, you know, we made a mistake. You paid 10,000, but you need to pay 12,000. People clear their goods from the port, take it to their shops in Edum or Tudu or Aboagye. After they've cleared their stuff, then the next week they will be there. They will see a GRA officer. He says, "I've come to sit down. I'm coming to check all the things that we checked already and you paid for." That does not engender compliance on the part of taxpayers, and that is burdensome. It doesn't even enhance businesses. And so he's clearly outlined that one at the port, he's going to introduce a flat rate system. What the flat rate system is going to do is that now when you're a businessman and you're going to import something, it's not at the discretion of the tax officer to tell how much he's going to charge you. You will know even before you place your goods in a container from abroad. Again, he's also indicated that for the duties that we have at our port, the competition for us as countries like Togo and Ivory Coast, especially Togo, where their tax duties regime at the port is so low, for which reason a lot of businesses would want to route their goods through Togo before bringing it into Ghana. So we need to be competitive. Once we are competitive, it will increase the volume of imports through our port. And so he's clearly indicated that.
But what you're explaining before the break.
Yeah, so the point I was making is that, you see, all the vice president is proposing is for us to have a reformed tax regime that would bring the taxes down. And in fact, in his manifesto, it's coming down. And it's able to come down because he's bringing in a lot more people. NIPA 10, we need to raise 10,000 cedis. Everybody will pay 1,000 cedis, isn't it? But when we become 50, we're not going to pay 1,000 cedis anymore. We'll probably pay 100 cedis or something to still get the same amount, or 200 cedis to still get the same amount of money. So that's the principle the vice president is using. The amount of money we need to run the state is not changing. We need more money. But he's simply bringing reforms that will increase the number of people who are paying. And these people are also happy to pay because they are paying very little than they were paying in the past. And they are also able to pay very little because now we have a lot more people still raising the same amount of money. And it's a very simple, analogy. And so he's very clear in his mind how he's going to support the business community for them to be able to thrive. Because once you are making the duties flat at the port, what you are basically doing is that you are helping the businessman to be more predictive and plan well. Once you are bringing it down to the level of Togo, the duties down to the level of Togo or even below, what you are also doing is that you are giving them more money to be able to import more. And at the same time, you are giving them room to be able to reduce their prices for the consumer ultimately. And the biggest one is where he says that after he's brought in all these reforms, in fact, even the exchange rate at the port is going to fix it, so that when there are exchange rate fluctuations, the importers don't suffer it, but he will leave it at peg it at a certain point. When all of these are done, he's going to give us a tax amnesty. And the tax amnesty simply means that there are people in Ghana, there are businesses in Ghana who are owing taxes for like 6, 7, 8 years old. At the moment, their businesses are doing fine. But the very day they decide to go and take care of their taxes, the business will collapse. Because they owe so much. Principal is so much, interest has become so much, penalties have become so much. So now they have perpetually decided that they will run away. They will come and pay their taxes. And that is even affecting their business because they cannot attract investors. If you're not tax compliant, no investor is bringing his money to you. And so what the vice president is saying is that, listen, once we brought all these reforms, collection is convenient, payment is convenient, assessment is convenient, there's transparency, no GRA person can pocket any money because the thing is digital and all of that. Shall we give all the others who want to be compliant but for their arrears an opportunity to be part? Because once they become part, we are broadening the tax net and we can bring
so
it
therefore an amnesty, to forgive all the
to
tax.
Forgive all your taxes you owe from the past. Principal, interest, penalty. And then you smile to the GRA and say, here I am. I want to be part of this new regime. Then you can go to your investors and say, my name is KSM Corporation. I am compliant. I want more investment. I can do more business now because my taxes at the port are low. I can import more and all of that.
Michael, what's the time frame do you think this is? Because obviously it's not going to be like next year.
The tax reforms?
Yeah.
No, the tax reforms are coming. It's coming next year, March. I mean, once he's sworn in on January 7th, the next budget, which will be read between January and March.
Would enough data have been collected to allow that drastic leap?
Actually, we have collected enough data. We have collected enough data, and we know the data, and we know the figures, and it's there, it's evident. You see, the current financial framework that we have is already passed in Parliament. There's nothing you can do about it. It needs to run the financial period. And then afterwards, anytime governments go to Parliament to pass budget, they review taxes all the time, don't we? Some of them they add, some they are withdrawing. So it's not like it's news. It's not like it's new. They review taxes all the time. Some they are adding, some they are withdrawing. So when he's passing his budget, his first budget, after swearing in, he's going to drop the e-levy. He's going to drop the betting tax. There's no doubt about that.
So you're saying that after swearing in,
yes,
which is January
7th.
7th.
Yes, he will introduce his budget. He will introduce his budget.
And the first budget to be introduced,
the e-levy will be off, betting tax will be off, the tax reforms will all be introduced.
I want you to look at the camera and where is this camera?
The very first budget. The very first budget Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia passes after he's swearing on January 7, 2025. That budget will have e-levy off, it will have betting tax off, it will have the reforms at the ports, the duties being lowered to the level of Togo or even below. The flat rate tax regime will be applied, the tax amnesty will be applied from that budget.
And you heard it from the miracle man. So that if anything, we can just play
but
this back.
you see the unique thing about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is that before he brings you to where he's taking you, the ultimate point, he shows you the foundation. And there's a clear blueprint as to how what he's saying is possible. And he's preaching possibility. He's preaching boldness that we have to be a bit more radical in our decision making and our policies going into the future. A bit more radical is actually putting it mildly. We have to be extremely radical. Exactly. I mean, we have to be radical, going into the future. And the thing I know about him, having worked with him within this short period of time, is he's not a typical Ghanaian politician that you know. He's unique. He's a fine line between a technocrat and a politician. I mean, he's not one of us. When I say one of us, even I that I'm very young, I think that I have been put through the fire, even more than Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But within the short period that he's been in our space, between 2008 and now, his impact in our political space is so much that it tells you how much it can influence us as a country going into the future. Dr. Bawumia is the reason why today we are discussing manifestos and discussing policies. Until 2008, when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia showed up, and even especially from 2012 where he stepped up and we started discussing issues, he brought the issues into the forefront. It was all about election time. We move from house to house and go and give matches and kerosene. When they say we're going to that's how politics was really. And
still is really.
I mean, in some we are facing out small.
We are facing out small. Yeah.
But today, because of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, we are discussing the issues. Today, if you're a political leader and you don't hold a function to outline your policies, you lose out. Because Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will speak to the issues. The man is different. Okay. And I think that we don't have to lose out on the opportunity to have him leading our country going into the future. Okay.
Let me ask you other things that circulate around, and I'm glad you are here to answer them. Cash. It's more dough.
Sika.
MPP for.
Sir.
Some more cash.
That's how we're a political party.
And no, I'm saying that how much is that influencing your move and your push? Like when you have a basic media kata, everybody's paid who comes. These are things that are going out there.
But
that's one thing. The other thing too is this, that your boss was the preferred choice. We are being frank so that you answer it frankly when you leave here. He's a preferred choice because he is the one that will protect every illegality that the MPP has done, the enrichment and the Miochinio, but the so-called protection of the Achim Mafia, he's the one to handle the job. So let's pick him. I want you to react to all of this.
You know, the funny thing about all of these things is that sometimes when I hear somebody talk about party, Namu, Scana, the NDC, they've been in opposition for 8 years, but they still run their political party. It hasn't collapsed. When they were going for their presidential primaries, you saw the delegates, and they have more numbers in their presidential primaries than us. In fact, the former president released a statement and indicated how much he's paying every delegate. He released a statement and posted it himself. How was he able to raise that amount of money? It was running into millions of citizens.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that.
When he did his media engagement recently, and he finished, there was rumor all over the place that he paid every media person about 8,000. When Nana Jane Mensah met the media, there were rumor all over the female media. There was rumor all over that he paid them some 7,000 cedis. How did they raise it?
Yeah.
Every political party that is unable to mobilize resources to run their organization is not a serious political party. As a party, you must be able to mobilize resources to run your organization. And that is why, for example, we do a lot of fundraising. We have a short code that we use to raise revenue. If you go to the constituencies, every constituency is holding a fundraising dinner. We are mobilizing resources. People are supporting. How did we run our party when we were in opposition before we came to power? Were we not having media engagement when we were in opposition? Were we not having delegate conferences and party national conferences when we were in opposition? As a political party, one of the key indicators that the voters should use to determine whether you are serious or you have capacity or not is your ability to keep your organization running. And there's no running away from that.
And the ability to keep your organization running is how much money you can mobilize.
No,
are we agreeing on that?
It's not about how much money. It's about what you need to keep your organization running. How much doesn't matter. It's about what you need to keep your organization running. This morning, your production.
This has nothing to do with money.
But if it involves money,
I'm not
for
saying.
For example, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
We have about over 200,000 police station executives who are not paid. So you are running the organization, but it doesn't involve money. Because that 200,000 police station executives, you don't pay them. But that's a resource. You can actually quantify it if you want to. We are going to have a media engagement in, let's say, Lancaster Hotel. And the Lancaster Hotel owner decides to give it to us as his contribution to run the organization. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
So there are ways to run the organization. You need pickups to run your campaign. And then you have 3 or 4 people volunteer to give you 5 pickups each or 3 pickups each. That is what makes you a unique.
Dennis, you're a politician.
No, but that is what you need to be able to run your organization.
Yeah.
That would be the first sign of your ability to manage a country. You understand? And that's why when I saw the former president indicate that he's paying the hundreds of thousands of delegates across the country some money, which runs to about 40 million or more, I wasn't worried. It's because if you are a presidential candidate and you want money, it's not difficult. If it is difficult, then you have no business being on the ballot paper. You're going to waste our time. Your ability to drive the people and mobilize resources to keep your organization running is the first sign that you're a serious leader. And I think that is what the MPP, the NDC, all the other political parties are doing.
The ability to mobilize the money.
It's the first sign. It's the first sign. People need to have confidence in you. Yes, before you are convinced to give me your Land Cruiser to use for a campaign, I must really have convinced you. Is that the case? Otherwise, how else am I going to get you to do that? And if I'm able to convince a lot more people to give me resources to run my campaign and run my organization, take me seriously. If you're a voter, take me seriously. Because it tells you that I have the capacity to drive people to get things done.
So why do you politicians do that then? Try and sort of create the impression that this party is doing it and this party is doing it, and because of this, because of that, and you actively, all politicians, so I'm not blaming anybody, actively do that. Why is it that?
It's all about messaging. Your audience, what you think of it. I mean, it's all about the things you are telling the people and what you believe, what you believe, the people would latch. This morning I saw an NDC person write something on Galamsey. I said, hey, you know, we have to vote MPP at Galamsey. Then I showed him a video of Tony Obin and the NDC leaders in the Galamsey pit telling the Galamsey people that vote against MPP so that when we can, we'll let you mine. I mean, Kwekubwahin, who was then the NDC deputy comms officer. The Tony Obin is the NDC lead when it comes to mining. They were in the pit, actually encouraging the people. You know, in the 2020 elections, MPP lost in every mining area. You know why? Because we stopped them from mining. Because we're chasing them with the military. We're burning the excavators.
And then what happened?
They voted against us.
Now that, so is that why now they are free to do
no,
it?
Even till date, what the MPP is doing now is to introduce what we call community mining schemes. And go and check. I mean, I work with the local government sector. 261 districts. We have just about 70 districts that mining is ongoing. Mining, I'm not talking about illegal, like those who have minerals resources. And out of that, we don't have about 30 that are with river bodies around and all of that. And when you go to places where this government has introduced a community mining scheme, you see that it's going down. It's gone down. But illegality is illegality. Crime is crime. People would always find ways to commit crimes and commit illegalities. Your job as a government is to consistently find ways and means to curtail it. I mean, we have police and we have military, but there are robberies going on. There are armed robberies, there are crimes being committed, even though we have all these systems. So the fight against Galamsey is not one that should be politicized. I'm bringing this in to let everybody understand that this is a canker and a menace that started years ago before Akufo-Addo came to power. Under Mahama, there was Galamsey at its highest level. In fact, some ministers, Mahama Yaruga and Co, threw in the towel. He was then Minister for Environment. He said that he doesn't think that we can, or any day, at any time, win the fight against Galamsey. Mahama Yaruga. And that he thinks that the Galamsey thing is so deep that religious leaders, chiefs, assembly members are all involved. He threw in the towel. There are several ministers under the Mahama regime who had no clue as to how to deal with the Galamsey menace. So we need to see it as a crime, as it is, and deal with it as it is. But what we will not allow is for any political party, especially the NDC, to hijack it and benefit from it politically, when indeed there is evidence that they are enablers when it comes to this. And my evidence of saying they are enablers is the video I'll give you. That if you have Tony Obin and Kwekubwahin, who are NDC leaders in a mining pit with the NDC parliamentary candidate of the area, telling the people that ignore the MPP, and this is at a time when the military are in the forest, sacking these people, then that ignore the MPP, vote against them. When we come, we'll let you come and mine. The parliamentary candidate tells them that, you know I'm one of you. This is what we all do. So there's no way I'll become MP and I'll come and sack you from the forest. The very day you vote for me, all of you are coming back into this forest to come and mine. We will not allow the NDC to benefit from it. What we need to do is to listen to what the future holds in addressing the Galamsey menace. And the Vice President is quite clear. He says that, listen, these people, this is where they live. This is where they know all their lives. It's like me, I come from the mountains. When I was like 6, 7, 8, that was when I started cracking stones for sale. My school, Methodist Primary School in Latte, the stones they used to build their house, I cracked. We sell. So if you come and tell me not to crack stones, I'll go and hide and still crack. And that's what is happening in the Galamsey areas. How do we channel their energies so that they can still mine, but mine safely and mine appropriately? And we have tried several strategies, and you've heard the Vice President say that, listen, moving forward, our approach is no longer going to be, we have bent this, we have bent it. It hasn't worked. We have tried it, we've bent it, we've arrested people, taking them to jail. It hasn't worked. How do we channel these energies towards appropriate mining? So he speaks about providing the data, the actual data of where the minerals are to these people. They own the land. The land belongs to the people. Currently, when a Ghanaian finds a concession, because they don't have the capacity, they have to go and bring a foreign investor. The foreign investor will come, take 80-90% away and give you 10%. The country gets no value for the mineral resources that we have. So can we just tweak it? Change the approach a little bit. Let's bring all these people together. The licensing regime, let's make it a bit more convenient. At the moment, the local person in the mining area cannot even get the license. He has to come to Accra, so many brofu and things. Shall we decentralize it? Let's take it to the district level. Let's get the traditional authorities involved. Let's make it easy. When you get the license, don't go and look for a foreign partner. We are bringing a bank, Minerals Development Bank, whose sole job is going to be to provide you with funding and financing so you can mine and bring out the mineral. But when you bring out the mineral, we have a challenge as a country we are trying to fix. the volatility with our currency. And one of the ways we think going into the future, we should deal with the volatility with our currency is to back our cedi with the gold resource that we have. So after you mine, we are going to buy the gold from you using cedi to build our reserves and boost our currency. And once this is done, KSM, this is what is going to happen. The Ghanaian-owned concessions in the mining sector is going to increase because there's funding through the Mineral Development Bank. They can employ a lot more of these young idle guys in the area that are actually trying to mine in the river bodies and all of that. And a lot more Ghanaians can get involved. And then the country can buy this gold using the local currency cedi and use it to back our currency to strengthen it against
What I haven't heard is in terms of not destroying the water bodies, how do we mine intelligently so that we don't have to put all these
the safe mining doesn't go to the river bodies. You see, they are going to the river bodies because it's more expensive to mine on the surface in the rocks. It's very expensive, so that's why they go to the river bodies. So once you provide them with that financing, provide them with the data that tells them that there's some here there, they don't have to go to the river bodies. So that's the solution. Because you know, human beings, it doesn't matter how much you are whipping them. In fact, our parents used to tell us that when you think you are beating him to stop, that's when you are even hardening him. And so we've tried it. And that's one thing I like about the vice president. He's not running away from the fact that the menace is still there and that it's challenging. But he's saying that we've tried all these other strategies. We still haven't been able to achieve the results that we want. Shall we review this? And that's what I want to hear the Ghanaian voter ask each of the political leaders. That in spite of all your propaganda and in spite of all the things you are saying, we still have a problem with Galamsey. What is your solution? So that we think through it. Because what is happening to our elections and our campaigning is that we allow, especially the NDC, to hide behind. Then they say nothing. There is a challenge, KSM. The challenge is that we have a Galamsey menace, which includes several people. I mean, Aboagye was right. If he says that there are chiefs involved, I've seen Otumfuo diss several chiefs recently on Galamsey. There are religious leaders involved. In fact, in the Axim area about some months ago, somebody's room, he had dug his own bedroom, dug deep and mining, and an impanisiso. So at night he sleeps on it, in the morning he goes to mine. How are you going to even find this person? How are you ever going to know this person is doing this? So it's a very complicated venture, and we have to be dispassionate about it. We don't have to run propaganda with it. Because it's a challenge that was introduced by an Akufo-Addo government. I am telling you that under the NDC, Mahama Yaruge and co, who were responsible to stop it, they gave up. They said they couldn't, that it was not possible. So it's a canker we need to deal with. But if you have an opposition party, go into the pit to go and tell the same people that we are trying to engage, that ignore them. You see, they are chasing you people from the pit. They don't want you to mine. Ignore them. Vote for us. When we come, we'll let you come and mine. Then when they leave the pit, the same political party will come on radio and say, MPP for Namagalam say Yaba. That is dishonest to the highest level.
Because this is really serious. You're saying you have evidence that they were in the pit talking about this thing?
See, there's something everybody in this country knows about me. I know how much credibility means to every human being. And see, if you hear me speak, especially when I'm mentioning names, be rest assured that I know what I'm talking about. I am telling you that I find it very dishonest when I hear the NDC try to even speak on Galamsey and try to make the point that this government is not able to end the Galamsey menace. And I say that because, I repeat, the NDC are the #1 enablers of the Galamsey menace in this country. KSM, it's a crime. It's something people are doing under the darkness or the shadow of darkness at night. Nobody is doing Galamsey in the open. And so government's effort is to catch these people when they are doing these things undercover and make sure that it becomes a deterrent to others. But if you have the biggest opposition party making it a political strategy, say they go into these Galamsey areas, go into the pits and tell the people that you see the government, they are fighting you people. You see them chasing you people. They brought Vanguard. The Vanguard was meant to end your livelihood. Ignore them. Go and vote for us. Immediately we win power. All of you should come back to the pit and come and work. In fact, we're even going to tell your site owners to give you a break on 7th of December. So all of you can go and vote for John Mahama. Trust me, The very moment you vote for your mama and he wins, all of you should come back to the pit and come and work. Galamsey is all we know. We have been doing Galamsey all this while. It's been there long before politics. And it will not take Nana Akufo-Addo and the MPP to end it. This is the NDC. Then, in 2020, Deputy Comms Officer Kweku Boahen and the NDC lead technical person, Mr. Tony Oben. In fact, in one of the videos, Kweku Boahen said that this man, Tony Oben, he is the same man who is going to be going back to the Minerals Commission to go and head the place if we should come to power. And I'm here with him. So if I tell you that when we win, you are coming back to do your Galamsey, I know what I'm talking about. How do you expect the government to succeed in this fight when you continue like this? And let me tell you what happened. Because of this campaign that the NDC have been waging in the mining areas, we lost almost every constituency that has a mining community. All the constituencies with mining going on, we lost it. And you know why we lost it? Because the opposition party has come to tell them that vote against the government. They are trying to take your livelihood away from you. They are sacking you from the phone. Vote for us. When we come, we'll let you come and mine. Barbara Tinjesi, the former MP for Pistia, she's one person that my heart always bleeds for her. She's one of the best MPs you can think of. Of all the things Barbara Tinjesi did for her people, she lost the election simply because of the president fight against Galamsey in her area. And it's simply because the opposition party had then given the people an alternative. The alternative was vote for us so you can continue your Galamsey, or vote for the MPP for them to chase you out of the forest from doing Galamsey. And I'm saying these things because I have video. I will not put your production in any challenge or difficulties if I don't have evidence. And so if you may, I would give you the video and I'll let you play the video for everybody to see exactly what it is that I'm saying.
Okay. So all I do on this show is I say, this is not my platform. The KSM show is the platform for my guest. I have another show called Talk Shop and the Miami platform. I'm becoming feelings. So no, but on this show, if you're going to say things before you back it up,
trust me, I'm a Equiaping bred, thoroughbred Equiaping boy. Respect for people and people's credibility and integrity is key. That's how I was groomed. If you ever hear me mention a name of an individual in anything, believe that I have facts or evidence. Otherwise, I can't even go home. If I live here without proving all the things I've said about the NDC and Galamsey, my mother would actually lash me. But that's how we are trained. I'm a pure Methodist boy, a Catholic boy. So I'm giving you the video so you play.
Okay.
Now everything I have told you
will
be heard in the video.
Let's take a quick minute. Producer, Macho, let's see the video he's talking about.
Na meboa after on the 11th on the 7th and say ya wo e de mam because on one be sa kwatena ho say de be ya yenu ya no ble yo mo ya dwuma chakakre mo so de nya sa se ni bi na so ya sa ya ma ti si to ase si wa ma a be ka ko han na so de aba be ya dwuma na so do krom no nko ko so ayede e di yi enti ko akoto aba no e John Daman Mahama e tu direct ye pe be dwuma ne be Galamsey ye beto Ghana beto Galamsey ana ye dwuma na ye no so sisi ye na do banka ko no mo da so ho and the prayers are crackers say ye to aba wi a mo be say sa Vanguard mu kina ye ye ntina say e ma ba we be bu edwuma tie on the 7th on the 8th on the 9th ye bo aba na Mahama e wini na mo mra be ye edwuma obi a me na ye pe ko no etika no kana mu ni no me tana me Galamsey ni na me kanu nyame adom Nika nyame bwana mutu ama John Dramani Mahama na mutu ama Abubakar Sadika na mutu se John Mama Adi Kunim Abubakar Sadika Adi Kunim na to dike tuwa mu ye majuma na mutu soja ni wokutu ha so wa beta asa mu mutu bi hu Iti akramo kuma ya to aba no na fa mo ye dwo ho bai Vanguard no omumu no Vanguard no eda so ho abato nti no mo mai dey ejai in mamani ani ehu tama na Vanguard dey e ho ho iti akramo ye da cha abato na dey ye fa ko no get them say okay
Wow.
What's the Obama was saying? You see, my advocacy for democracy in this country is, let's be honest, let's be sincere, let our politicking be based on competitive ideas, superior ideas. Our challenges are the same. They are commonly known to all of us. The difference between you and I should simply be whose idea can fix the challenge. It should never be on such black, dark political strategies. What the NDC are doing with Galamsey is very dangerous. The way the NDC are playing the Galamsey conversation is inimical to the progress and growth of this country. And I've just shown you the evidence. You come to the public space, you call out the government, attack the government, hoot at the government, mobilize the people. Sometimes you even tell the people to go on demonstration against the government for not being able to stop Galamsey. Then at midnight, you go to the Galamsey pit, stand there in the pit with them and tell them the government is chasing you. You see, they are trying to stop you from doing Galamsey. Vote for us. When we come, we'll let you continue your Galamsey. How is any government ever going to be able to win against the menace of Galamsey if we have a political party like the NDC behaving this way?
So in a bigger picture, moving past politicization, what is your recommendation?
I think the Vice President has clearly indicated the roadmap. We've learned a lot from all the strategies we've used. And the point I made earlier is that he's identified that these people, this is the way of life. This is where they live. This is what they know. Let's channel their energies to safe and appropriate mining. And so small-scale mining is going to be boosted in these areas through the introduction of the Mineral Development Bank, which will give financing and funding to Ghanaians who want to mine safely. The licensing regime, which was very complicated, for which reason these locals could not be part of, is going to be a bit more relaxed and decentralized, so that the chiefs will be more involved, the district assemblies will be more involved, the people can walk in and get their licensing so long as they have their concessions. The data, which is showing specifically where these minerals are, will be made available to the people so that they can all get involved. In doing that, you are fixing the Galamsey menace because you are giving them a safe way, an appropriate way of mining. But at the same time, we have another challenge on the economic side, which is the volatility of our currency, which now the Vice President is saying that, shall we back our currency with our mineral resource? So he has a gold-backed currency program that he's going to run. And simply what that means is that mobilize more of your gold reserves and use it as a backing to hold the currency that you have. And so whilst you are trying to stop Galamsey by boosting the capacity of our locals to mine, they are bringing more gold out. And once more gold is coming out, you are buying this gold directly from them in cedis. And then once you are buying it in cedis, it means that you don't need to go and look for dollar to come and do all of these things. Then you go and put it down. And don't forget, we also have the gold for oil that we're trying to scale up, which reduces our demand or our need for dollar. And so you have more gold, you can go to the international market and transact on a lot of things without necessarily looking for dollar to change and taking it out. So these are all integrated, a complete value chain in trying to fix one challenge, which leads to fixing other challenges, and that's how he is proposing to deal with it.
So cool. So with the other question that I really want to hear an answer from you about him long ago being decided that this is our preferred candidate and he's the one that will help us cover up.
So that's completely false. You know, it has no foundation. It's also one of the usual propaganda. You know, let's dirty you. Let's put things on you so that you become less attractive. First of all, no single individual, and I think I even said it during the primaries, that even another Dan Kwekufado could not have determined who becomes our flag bearer. He has only one vote, just one. He doesn't have more than one vote.
But he has the power.
He doesn't have. No, he doesn't. Unfortunately, in our party, Nanado doesn't have that power. He's completely powerless when it comes to the decision as to who becomes our next leader. It is the party people. Over 200,000. Oh. And here's I come from Latte. I voted at Latte Methodist Primary A. When you go to Latte Methodist Primary A, there are 5 executives. Nanado doesn't know them. He doesn't know them. They have never met him. I know them. Because they're in my polling station. How is another going to influence these 5 people? You get what I'm saying? So, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was voted for as a flag bearer by the party people because of the kind of leadership he has shown since he came into our space in 2008. He's changed so many things in our party. He's changed our fortunes in so many places. In the northern part of Ghana, it used to be a no-go area for us today. Today, there are certain parts of the 5 northern regions that we are surpassing the NDC. The number of seats we have in the 5 northern regions now surpasses that of the NDC. But it didn't used to be the case. There are areas that were no-go area for the MPP. But today, because of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, we are entering those places with our chest out. And that is why the people voted for him. They voted for him because of his decisive leadership, of his commitment to the cause of this country and their party, of his dedication to the cause of Ghana. He thinks and dreams Ghana. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is 150% committed to the cause of Ghana. And the party people see that. And the Ghanaian people see that on a daily basis. He is without doubt the most active vice president we have seen in our 4th Republic. No doubt about that. no doubt about that. His activity, his energy towards dealing with issues that comes to his table is without question. It's without question. And that is why you would see the party rally around him at such a crucial and critical time. And he's going to make history. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is going to win the 2024 elections. I keep saying it. We are going to beat the NDC with a strategy that they would never understand in this election. They would never have imagined it. The strategy we are using to beat them is one that it would never have come up as a scenario in their strategy room. And that's how we are going to beat them.
So when I know that people have talked about a million ways to win, we have our own management ways. This is the strategy we are talking about.
There are several ways to kill a cat. You know,
but even before we go, some of these questions I'm asking have not come from the NDC per se, but even people who are in the MPP who are no longer, I'm not bold enough to mention names like you do, But if I can just mention two names, I've heard of Hinto, I've heard Hoops Nadoye, and they have come out to talk about how their decision to be with what's his name, Alan, how they suffered for that and how they were practically
I think that is
out of the party.
I think that is not the first time we've had individuals break away from parties.
Yeah.
MPP and NDC, they've suffered it, but MPP and NDC are still here.
Yeah.
And once the person has left your party, what else do you expect him to say? Are you expecting him to say good things about you? You understand? The real problem is that person speaking, that his credibility is the one that is on the line.
Yeah.
That yesterday you were praising KSM and all of a sudden, because you are no longer working with KSM, you are insulting him. That's your business. But you can't. The MPP and NDC is institutionalized. I told you about the 5 police station executives in my area. Nanado doesn't know them. In fact, in the election, Nanado is not there. Nobody is there. They are mobilizing themselves as we speak. This morning, there are people who are doing door-to-door house to us in the capital north. Nobody has sent them. And so, you may trigger the parties a bit. You may unsettle them a bit, but it's not for long. And that is why almost all the people who break away from NDC and MPP, it takes them just one election cycle and they are gone. Because the party's strength is the people on the ground, not the individuals you see. If miracles, there's nobody in the party. Nene Kufado is nobody in the party. Dr. Bawumia is not, and I'm saying it in contest, so they should go and cut it. They go and cut that place. And the real persons in the party are the over 200,000 people in our party, and that's the beauty of MPP. And so, if you mistakenly say somewhere and think that you are Akufo-Addo or Bawumia's favorite daughter, and so in the party you are going to be the next general secretary, you are mistaken. The people you really have to satisfy and get them to have you endear to them is the police station executive you haven't seen before. The one in Asankregwa, there are 38,622 police stations. Okay, KSM. 38,622 police stations. Multiply by 5 people. When you finish, there are over 8,000 electoral areas that we have. Each of them have electoral area coordinators. When you finish, there are 275 constituencies. Each of them have about 17 constituency executives. Then you come to the regional executives. So it's a huge number that one individual cannot control. And so if somebody says that, you can't cover up crime. Crime is crime. And the laws that we have in this country are clear. Crime does not expire. That is why somebody can commit a crime 50 years ago. But when the law catches up on the person, it catches up on the person. I think those who are trying to throw this propaganda, they are very weak. It's a weak political party that is unable to espouse policy, but simply try to run his elections on propaganda, insults, sentiments, emotions, and all of that. We are weak. This country has serious challenges that need to be confronted. We have challenges with our currency. We have challenges with our economy. We have challenges to deal with education. We have challenges to deal with health. We have over 100,000 kilometers of road, which we have done just about 20-30%. We have challenges with our infrastructure. There are real issues that people want to be addressed. Millions of people are looking for jobs. They don't have. There are children who are on the streets. They need access to education. There are mothers who are dying because they couldn't afford healthcare in the hospital. They need solutions. If you're going to ask for the votes of these people, KSM, tell them what your solutions are. What is your solution for reducing cost of living? What is your solution for ensuring that there is better healthcare for all? What is your solution for the elderly people? What's your solution for the women? What's your solution for the young person that wants access to tertiary education? What's your solution for the people that want access to secondary education? clearly outline these solutions. Let the people pick your solutions and compare it to your opponent and decide which one they think is superior. But to ride on propaganda, emotions, threats. I heard one of the NDC guys talk about how they will burn hotels and burn people's homes. In fact, there's an NDC guy educating their people in a meeting as to how houses are burnt and how they can put petrol in bottle and throw it and and all of that. But that's how the NDC always lose elections. Do you know how they lose the elections? When we are training our people in the room as to how to write the numbers and convert the words into numbers and understand what pig sheets are, they are training macho men. So at the police station, when we are doing the counting, you know what they do? You only have to shout and say, hey, and these people will leave the pig sheet and they'll go and fight. By the time they come back, we've counted and signed and we are gone.